Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You get divorced. You get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, a little bit of laughter, and everything you need because, as you know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. We're here with one of our amazing Fresh Starts experts, Bethany. Bethany, can you please tell us who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on today. My name is Bethany Fiocchi Root, and I am the owner and founder of Oceanview Marketing.
Amazing. Okay, Bethany. So I'm specifically excited to talk to you today because you work with a lot of people, obviously, on their marketing, their branding, their messaging, all of that good stuff. For anybody that's listening to this, that's an entrepreneur, startup founder, freelancer, and you're going through a divorce, you've been through a divorce, you know that you personally change, right, on a ground level, but your business also kind of has to change as you change. So if somebody's listening to this and they're like, I feel like I'm not aligned with my business anymore, what can you do? Where can you start?
Yeah, I always like to recommend to start with thinking about what are your goals, or where does that misalignment feel like in getting to your goals? Is it that you feel like your branding no longer represents you, your messaging no longer represents you, your ideal client is the same person that you wanted to serve as before, and sort of really narrowing in on where that misalignment it feels right now, because then you could narrow in on kind of doing something about that.
Right. And so what would that look like from a marketing perspective? I know it sounds silly to people, but it might look like maybe updating your brand colors, or what does that look like sometimes?
Yeah, I think it really depends on where you feel like the misalignment is. If you feel like your brand just kind of completely no longer represents you post-divorce, then I would recommend maybe a rebrand. Maybe it really is the whole feel and messaging of your brand, visuals, graphics. Maybe you need a new updated photo shoot, and that will really represent the new you. You don't have to boil the ocean from the beginning, though, so I always recommend taking small steps.
Oh, I love that phrase. I've never heard that phrase. I love that phrase.
Oh,
That's
I
a good
love
one.
that.
That's a good one for Ocean View. Well, I love all of those steps. So if somebody's listening to this and they're like, I don't even know where to get started, but I'm having a hard time kind of showing up for my business because I feel like I've changed and I dragged the business through this divorce with me. Like, what's one easy step they could do today to start making the business feel more aligned for them?
I recommend taking a breath and allowing yourself to pause for a minute, because we can get so caught up as entrepreneurs in all that day to day and the things that have to happen
Yeah.
that sometimes we don't even give ourselves permission to take that moment and really reflect on, where do I want to go? Where is that misalignment feeling like right now? Because it can get very overwhelming when you're out of alignment to feel like, oh no, I have to change everything all at once. And you don't necessarily have to. So taking that moment today, giving yourself permission to just reflect and try to do some soul searching, just figure out exactly what you want.
I love that. So that being said, how do you work with clients, Bethany? Where do you work with clients? If somebody's listening to this and they're like, I feel really stuck with my business right now, I don't know where to go, how can they work with you?
Yeah. So one of my absolute favorite things to do is I offer something called a clarity session. And it's actually a 90-minute strategy session where we sit down and I walk you through kind of a framework that I have for getting clarity on your next steps. I give you a little bit of homework ahead of time, but not the scary homework, like the fun homework, to think about what you want and what your goals are. And we come up by the end of that 90 minutes with a high level plan to help you get to whatever that next step is. So if it's you really need to feel more in alignment, if it's you don't feel like your revenue is where it should be post-divorce because maybe you couldn't show up where you needed to before, et cetera. Like whatever it is that your goal is, we kind of work through that, come up with a high-level plan so that you're not so overwhelmed and like not sure what to do next. That's why I call it a clarity session. I love it.
I love that. And you can, of course, find Bethany at Fresh Starts Registry and the expert guide, and all of her info will be in the show notes. Bethany, if somebody's listening to this and they're going through a divorce, what would be some words of encouragement that you could leave them with?
I would say similar to what I mentioned before that, give yourself permission to reflect. Give yourself permission to change. Sometimes change can be scary and we're afraid of it. And especially depending on the type of divorce, it may have been really rough for some people. And that can just really bring you through the ringer. And so, you need a little bit of time to recover, and you can't show up for your business authentically until you've really taken that moment to reflect on what you truly want.
Amazing. Well, we appreciate all that you do with your clients and the work that you put into them and showing up for people because, we can't escape the fact that our personal lives and our business lives are intertwined and they all have to kind of evolve together. So if anybody is interested in working with Bethany, we highly, highly recommend her. Many of our experts work with Bethany. So go over to Fresh Starts Registry and find her in the expert guide. Bethany, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Olivia.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.